is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk live here on DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And while you're on the page, you can check out the link tree in our bio. It'll take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive throughout the show today, make sure you head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. That's where that's the best place to get your thoughts, comments, questions, and concerns pulled up on the screen and be interactive with myself and my co-host Scotty today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter @DylanJD98. To my right, my main man, Scotty. You can find him as well @ScottyDrowned. What's going on, brother?
Not much. Just getting all this sweat off my face.
Got the heat turned up?
Yeah, I got the heat turned up. I just did a spin class like a little bit before the show, so I'm still like perspirating here. Trying to get ready for my wedding, man. I'm trying to get a little slimmed down and look a little bit better for my wedding.
No better inspiration for you.
Guzzling beers for years, man.
There you go, man.
It's caught up to me, man. But no, I'm happy to be here. Obviously, we're going to celebrate another Eagles victory.
Yes, sir.
It's been over a week since we chatted about football. Obviously, we got on here last night and talked some Sixers, which was disappointing.
Yeah.
But tonight, there's no letdowns, right? I mean,
nope.
Give or take, no letdowns, at least from a fandom perspective. So I'm excited for that nonetheless, man.
Yeah, man. So let's jump in right into it tonight. Like you said, it's been a week since we did the Thanksgiving special. Obviously, you were at the link, family was in, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we didn't have a Sunday show, didn't have a Monday show. So now here we are to break down week 12. We're going to talk Eagles, Packers, some other storylines that caught our eyes along the Sunday as well, and Monday Night Football with Jeff Saturday's questionable clock management decision down the end in that one. In Indy, obviously we have an AFC East matchup tonight between the Bills and the Pats with some heavy playoff implications to kick off week 13 tonight. So we'll talk that. We're going to talk about a lot tonight, man. So guys, like I said, if you want to be interactive, hit us up in the comment section and we'll make sure to pull up as many as we can get to, ask us any questions, etc. But let's start with that Eagles 40-33 victory over Green Bay on Sunday Night Football, man. You were there. They improved to 10-1. Talk to me about the atmosphere and just talk to me about just being there. Obviously, you see things a little bit differently. You see the way the game breaks down a little bit differently in the stadium compared to at home. What were your thoughts on this one? I have a bunch of questions to get into, but obviously high scoring, 73 points. Hope you all hammered the over, but incredibly weird game in the first half. The Eagles come out, they get out to 13-0 start. They turn Aaron Rodgers over immediately on the first possession of Green Bay's offense. Then they let Green Bay come right back and answer. And this game kind of went back and forth. Couple missed extra points, couple different turnovers. Very strange, very odd. What did you see being there? What did you like? What did you dislike?
From what I could remember. No, I rewatched the game the next day as well. So I got to see both perspectives from a sense. But what I'll say, man, this was one of those games where you win if you have a Jalen Hurts in your backfield, right? That's the only way that you win that game because this man took over the game with his legs. And, you know, there were a few moments in the game, obviously you mentioned it, where the Packers are kind of grinding back. You had the A.J. Brown fumble. It was just kind of, you know, they returned that, you know, like 70 yards. And that was kind of demoralizing because it's like, here we go again, right? On prime time, on national television, going to go ahead and start turning the ball over, making mistakes. But ultimately, what I look at from this game, it was another opportunity for the Eagles to persevere through adversity. You lose CGJ in that game, who we already know how important he is to that secondary and to this defense. And you're able to fight through that against Aaron Rodgers, against the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers goes down in this game, which was also weird. You have Jordan Love come in the second half. Just a lot of weird stuff going around, right? But the Eagles persevered. And that's my biggest takeaway from it is that with all of the weird stuff going on a nationally televised game, a rainy day all day, turns out to be a nice warm night, Eagles still persevered, still able to win this game against a team where, look, the Cowboys got up 14 on the Packers and they didn't hold on to win that game. So that's the difference right there, right? You could just look at that as an example. And that's not to diss the Cowboys at all. I'm just using it in an example, but also diss the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But no, I thought, I don't know what your takeaways are. I was ultra impressed by Jalen Hurts. Shout out to Reed Blankenship stepping in, making some plays there.
Play.
He did get burned on the crosser from Watson, but a lot of people do get burned by Watson, to be fair. But yeah, positives in a sense, mostly positives from this game for me.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I think you brought up the main talking point, right? The main positive. It was another win. They are 10-1.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we have to do this show multiple times a week and have this conversation with people where they take this as a negative when you would look at so many other teams that aren't 10. There's a reason the Eagles are the only 10-1 team, Scotty. There's a reason teams lose. You brought up the Cowboys lost to the Packers where they had a 14-0 lead in the fourth quarter and blew that one. Like, don't you think Dallas and the Cowboy fans would be more than happy with an ugly win compared to a bad loss, right? And that's not even to say this was an ugly win. Listen, whatever you want to say about the Packers offense and the Eagles defense and the weapons for Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers going down, I understand that. And we'll get to the defensive side of the ball. The bottom line is there's a lot of money spent on that Green Bay defense. There's a lot of money on that side of the ball for them. And this Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts manhandled them. That was a bunch of grown men versus a bunch of boys on that side of the ball for Green Bay on Sunday night. They dropped 40. They ran for over 300. That does not happen in this day and age, Scotty. And that, to me, you talked about a character win, persevering, getting a different style of win. That's why this was so big to me. And this win offensively was big to me, right? The league is trending away. We know what Nick Sirianni wants to do. And the fact that you have an offensive line and a quarterback and a rushing attack that is able to still do that in this day and age is big time, on top of the fact that your quarterback can make big time throws still. This is not last year's Eagles where they had to rely on rushing for 250 yards to be successful. This is an Eagles team that can run for over 300, but also move the ball through the air now in an explosive manner. That back shoulder throw to Quez to end the half was, Scotty, we've talked a lot of points this year about, was that his best throw of his career? Was that the best throw of his career? That is up there. That is top 5 best throws because of timing, trust, ball location, accurate. Everything was perfect on that throw. And he's had moments like this. So it brings me to my question for you. There's all the talks around the league and rumors right now on social media about what the Eagles are discussing internally in terms of Jalen Hurts' contract extension and what the numbers will be and et cetera. I think we're all on board with the fact that he's the future of the Eagles right now. But has this kid gone from question mark to superstar in your eyes? Like, Scotty, as of right now, he's not playing he's not just elevating this team. He's not just playing like a star. He's playing like a freaking superstar week in and week out for 12 weeks now.
And see, there's so much that goes into this. He's a star. Like, there's just no way around it. He's in the MVP conversation this year. He's a star. I don't know if he's a superstar yet, just because you got to earn that year to year. You got to be here next year, right?
That's
and
fair.
It's still in the conversation. But he's a star. And where I'm going to go with this conversation is a lot of what's been talked about on Twitter, about the Eagles being like run dependent. I've seen that word used. People complaining about the massive run, the running attack against Green Bay. Why are we just spent like 2 weeks complaining about them not running the football. We've seen this team be able to pass the football. He passed the ball 28 times in this game. It's not like we just ran the ball 50, 100 times.
Are these Eagles
fans,
the ball
28 times,
are these Eagles fans or Eagles doubters?
I've seen a mix. I've seen a mix of Eagles fans. And you could probably call those Eagles fans Eagles doubters at this point because they want Jalen Hurts to fail. And that's where you cross the line, because me and you weren't high on Jalen Hurts leaving last season, and we're high as hell right now because we're just using our eyes. The biggest thing with Jalen Hurts that makes him a star this year, it doesn't have anything to do with well, it does. But if you look at this game specifically, and I'm going to point to the Cowboys once again with Dak Prescott, the difference between Jalen Hurts, and you can say the same thing about Tua.
I'm interested to see what you're about to say,
They don't turn the ball over. They don't throw interceptions. You look in this game, Aaron Rodgers, 2 interceptions. That's the difference in the game. Dak Prescott, 2 interceptions against the Giants. Josh Allen, 2 interceptions in like 4 out of his last 5 games. That is the difference between Jalen Hurts and everybody else right now, and it's the decision-making, man. He's making the right decisions. He looks like the leader of the team. And this team goes as he goes. That's how you know he's the guy.
I'll tell you what, you bring up a very interesting point because I was thinking you were going to take it where my mind was going, but the protecting the football, the not turning it over, the lack of interceptions plays into what I'm about to say. There's a total and utter trust I have in him, and I have been watching him right now. And what do I not? Part of that is protecting the football and not turning it over and doing, what we saw 2021's doing, what we see Josh Allen do at times and Dak Prescott, et cetera. It's the fact that if a game tightens up, it's the fact that if they're down early in a game, I am not clinching. I am not sitting here like we're in trouble. I have doubt. I'm confident in this kid under center.
Yeah.
When you need a big drive, and it's not always him. We saw that 2 weeks ago when they had oh my God, why am I blanking on what they did 2 weeks ago, Scotty?
Against the Colts, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Or against the
Yes. The Colts game. My mind, I'm thinking what did they do before Green Bay and in between the Washington loss? The Colts game, right? The final drive. He didn't throw his way down the field. The Cowboys game, the Cardinals game, when they're up by 3 and you need a long drive.
Yeah.
He's not always throwing the ball down the field, but they just go back and he goes back to what they do best. And he's able to put together long, sustainable drives that result in points at the end of them. And that's the confidence that he's just oozing right now.
Yeah.
That's the confidence that the rest of the team has right now, dude. Like, they weren't perfect again on Sunday night, right?
No.
You had the AJ Brown fumble. You have the back-to-back QB sneaks, whether you want to talk ball placement by the ref, whether you want to talk Jason Kelce, whatever it was, you had those mental mistakes. You had penalties, right? They were still able to persevere and come away with a win. So offensively, I'm cool, man. You bring up the Twitter trolls, doubters, Negadelphia, whatever you want to call them. It's ridiculous. If you watch this game and complained about the way the offense was ran, my man, I don't know what to tell you. We probably can't have a serious conversation together.
If you're complaining about a 40-point output,
like
what are we talking about?
What are we doing? What are we doing? They didn't escape with a win and they rushed for 180. Dude, they rushed for 360. Like, come on. We can't have.
They could have done it some more.
Yes.
They could have done it some more. They could have done that all night. If we really wanted to run it back all night, we could do that all night. Literally. It was an impressive win for me, honestly, Dylan. And it was sticking to your identity. That's Nick Sirianni. Oh, let's just run the football tonight. Let's do it. Let's go out here and win this game.
Let me ask you, man, Miles Sanders, what do you do now, right? Because we talked about Jalen and his contract extension. Now, obviously, quarterback, running back, the value, we know all that. Miles, low-key, has 900 rushing yards already this season, Scotty. You would assume Miles Sanders is going to eclipse the 1,300 rushing mark at this point, which I don't know if he's ever done in his Eagle career, right? So he was big time. Jalen on the ground was big time. What do you do moving forward with Miles Sanders?
Yeah, it's funny you bring him up because you are right. He's never – these are the most rushing yards he's ever had. The most total yards he ever had was his rookie season, and that's because he had over 500 receiving yards on top of 800 rushing yards. Since then, the highest he eclipsed was 867. So he's at 900 right now. It's the highest touchdown amount at 8. He's having a career season, right? He's having a career season. That's what's happening with Miles Sanders right now. And I've always been a Miles Sanders fan. I've always known that he's had the talent, right? We've known that he's had the skill set to be successful. It's just been about staying healthy for Miles Sanders and usage. It has been about usage as well, getting fully implemented in the offense. But this season, it's almost like he's figured out how to optimize each and every touch that he gets. And it's working out for him, man. He's got to give us something friendly, man. He's got to give us something
I agree with you.
Friendly.
I agree. We see running backs all across this league get paid and injuries and age. And it's just, not to mention, it's the least – what's the word? It's just the least of your worries. You can plug and play. We've seen the Eagles do that for a long time now, right? And so I'm not overly concerned about giving Miles Sanders his bag, right? So unless he gives you something team-friendly –
and you have so many other guys that you do have to give some money to,
exactly.
Like, that are more important than to me, as far as what's important to this football team. everybody in that secondary is more important than anything on the offense right now.
For sure.
Well, let me backtrack a little bit. Anything on the offense that's expiring this upcoming offseason.
Yeah. No, I know what you meant.
But yeah, that's where I'm at. But he's earning his flowers, and he's given us a conversation because coming into this season, I thought there was zero.
There was no thought in my mind. Are you paying Miles Sanders at the end of the year? No, hell no. No, not a chance.
Why would I? Doesn't produce.
And now the fact that it's a question, like that's what I think has been so amazing to watch transpire over this year between Jalen, between Miles, between some of these other players on this roster, where you had so many question marks or you were already ready to give up kind of thing. And the way that they've changed your mind and persuaded you otherwise. Yeah. Defensively, you bring up the guys that we're going to have to look to pay. CJ Gardner-Johnson. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to say one more thing about offense. Just wanted to shout out Quez Watkins. Stepped up in the last 2 games in these past 2 weeks. I know it's just 35 yards, but two touchdowns in back-to-back games. Obviously, the one in the Indianapolis game that was super important. But he's been stepping up in Goddard's absence, and that's kind of been the guy that's kind of taken his place.
Sure, I mean, 2 straight weeks when I don't bet Quez anytime touchdown score, but it's okay. It's no problem.
Of course.
But looking at defense, CJ Gardner-Johnson is out indefinitely. Now there's hopes, and he said that he will be back, and hopefully by the playoffs, and that's all that we're really worried, concerned about at this point. But losing him is going to be a big blow, especially when you talk about lack of depth at that position. Are you trusting Reed Blankenship, who made a great play, fooled Aaron Rodgers, got Aaron Rodgers, turned him over, right? But then at the same time, you watch the Christian Watson play, and there's just a lack of experience there. Reversely, I don't want to see much of Kayvon Wallace either. So you have you're in a pickle here if you're Jonathan Gannon. But Scotty, there was a lot of negative talk about this defense coming out of Sunday night. And listen, I'm not here to defend it. I am not naive enough to ignore what I see with my own 2 eyes between the scheme, his philosophy, what he does in the secondary, what he gives up in the run game, what the defensive line has been doing or a lack thereof doing. I'm not naive enough to see that there's weaknesses and that there's holes on this defense at times. But dude, do I think that they got so unfairly criticized for Sunday night for 33 points. I mean, outside, like, you hand-gifted Green Bay so many points between the A.J. Brown fumble and return and what the Eagles gave up on special teams. Special teams, kick and punt return.
That's a problem.
Goodness, I'm going to pull my hair out if I have to watch this one more time. We've moved past, like, the Britton Covey, like, Britton Covey's the biggest worry. No. It is kick coverage, punt coverage, right?
Somebody is going to return one for a touchdown in a big moment. It's going to cost us a game.
That's what worries me, but it doesn't even have to be for a touchdown, man. All they have to do late in the game is set. Think about years ago, years. I don't know if you remember this. I think I was in middle school or freshman year of high school. Drew Brees, Darren Sproles, New Orleans Drew Brees never won a game in this temperature, right below this temperature. Nick Foles leaves the game with a lead. Darren Sproles returns one to about midfield or whatever it was on the next kickoff. Like, in a moment like that is where things can change. And I just look at this. I forget how many points I saw them give up, but outside of the A.J. Brown fumble and the 2 or 3 possessions that Green Bay started on in Eagle territory, I think we gave up like 13 points or 13 to 17 points just off of real kind of points, right? And one of those touchdowns is the Reed Blankenship mistake. That's not on philosophy. That's not on scheme. That is a rookie, lack of experience, taking a bad angle, and that's what happened. I am not naive enough to just dismiss the rush defense. I'm not naive enough to just not think that Jonathan Gannon is not a concern. But I think they are unfairly criticized week to week when you look at the totality of what this defense can do. Let me throw this to you because I know I'm rambling on. Do you agree? And also, basically, my point is, if you have the offense the Eagles have, right? If you have this offense that is this explosive and do so much, and your defense leads the league in takeaways by a large margin, and also only gives up about 17 points per game. It's a little higher now, but before Sunday, it was 17. What is wrong with that? What is it? Because it's like, honestly, we just have to find the negative. Oh, the run defense stinks. I'm not saying it won't bite them in the ass for sure in the postseason, but right now they're 10. Like, it hasn't bit them yet. It hasn't.
And it's one of those things where you just have to go week to week. We can't nitpick each week on different stuff, right? Oh, the defense is bad this week. The week before, the defense is the reason we won the game against the Colts. They held them to 16 points. Like literally, we only won that game by 1. We could not score the football against the Colts for whatever reason. There was a lot of weird stuff in that game, right? In a game, like we've talked about already, the weird stuff that was going on, the turnovers, the special teams issues. This defense, you got to cut them a little bit of slack, especially when you lose a CGJ, right? A Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yep.
These are big pieces that you're losing. You're already missing an Avonte Maddox, no Jordan Davis. You're incorporating new. There's a lot going on with this defense while also going against a Green Bay offense, which I know it hasn't been the greatest offense this season. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been great. The wide receivers haven't been great. Christian Watson has scored, like 5 or 6, 7 touchdowns in the last 3 to 4 weeks? Like, he's been doing this to everybody. So, like, I just don't understand if you're going to sit here and nitpick that. Go nitpick the Cowboys, too, who everybody's calling the best defense in the NFL. Like, there's so many of these cases week to week. It's just bullshit, honestly. The way this team gets talked about constantly. And it's within our own fan base to a sense, man. It's really ridiculous.
I'm glad you bring that up. Because, again, I'm not looking for excuses, and I don't need to look for excuses when they keep winning ball games. Like, I don't want this to get misconstrued where I'm, like, pleading for people to understand why they lost X, Y, and Z. No. They continue to win. But, Scotty, we sit here, right, and we talk about the biggest team I can think of is the 49ers. The 49ers have been plagued with injuries all year long, especially on the defensive side, and I understand it. And I've made the excuse for them, and I've said to you before, hey, man, when the Niners get fully healthy, they're going to be legit. They're going to be the Eagles' biggest roadblock to get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Yeah. Why does nobody talk about the Eagles in that light? Because they continue to win games? That's even more. You guys do realize they are down Avonte Maddox. Is Avonte Maddox the end-all, be-all of nickel corners? No. But the drop-off from Avonte Maddox to Josiah freaking Scott that they have to start now and play critical snaps. Now you lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You haven't had Jordan Davis, who was your best run stopper for 4 weeks. Dallas Goedert, who I know we love A.J. Brown, we love Devontae Smith, is probably the focal point of this offense. Yeah. They're down all of it. But because they keep winning, no one talks about that. But the Niners... Like, I saw someone say, Philly gave up 33 to Green Bay. San Fran's the team. San Fran scored 13 effing points at home against the Saints this past week. Would you stop it? Like, I just had to get this ran out because I agree with you.
No team scoring 13 points beating us.
Either gets excuses made for them or gets praised for doing something shorthanded. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Eagles they look for negatives. They look for something to be wrong.
Because how do the Cowboys go from blowing a 14-point lead against the Green Bay Packers to then the next week beating the Vikings on the road? Now they're the best team in the league again. Like they're the best team in the NFC. Like, that's the stuff that's getting on my goddamn nerves. Because you're exactly right. It's something that's not talked about as far as injuries. Dallas Goedert down the line, like you listed already. It doesn't make sense as to why all of this gets so misconstrued and thrown around, man. I was looking today and Bill Barnwell, Cowboys and Eagles have the same chance to make the playoffs, whatever, has Cowboys above the Eagles as far as teams to beat in the playoffs.
That's fine,
Chiefs,
man.
Cowboys, Eagles. Based on what?
Scotty,
they can talk about week to week is what we don't do.
Yeah, they'll beat them.
They never talk about what we
and
do.
It'll still be perceived that way.
Always excuses.
There will be an excuse, and I don't know. All I'm going to say is just hope that Christmas Eve even matters for you. How about that?
Exactly. Hope and pray that Christmas Eve matters. And all I'll say about the Eagles and everything that gets complained about week to week, they're always talking about what they don't do, not about what they do. They are winning games in different ways each and every week. Against Indianapolis, it was defense. Against the Packers, it was rushing offense. Like, we're doing it different. And mind you, last 2 weeks, we have had zero production from our tight end spot where we're used to having what you said, a focal point at.
Yes.
So we're finding ways to be successful on offense. and defense week to week. I mean, just give me a break, man. It's ridiculous. And everybody will see when they have to come through Philadelphia throughout the playoffs in the NFC, and everything goes through Philly. Good luck coming up here, playing us in the cold, and stopping our run game that you say is totally worthless. So, okay, we'll see.
No, I agree with you, man. And we have over a month until that can happen. So we have some time to continue to look at things, but they're only going to get healthier. Jordan Davis could potentially be back this week against Tennessee, which would be huge. But this is my point, man. Like 2 weeks ago against Indianapolis, Linval Joseph and Nick Ndamukong, what pickups by this team. They helped save the game against Indy. They slowed down the rush. Now they have a bad, like the rush defense gets beat up again. Oh, well, what you even pick these two up for? I will tell you one guy I'm extremely underwhelmed with, and I haven't looked at snap counts, so it's like odd of me to know, like
Robert Quinn.
Yeah. I expected a lot more when they made that move simply because of his production and snap count in Chicago. I thought, okay, obviously he's not going to play that many snaps here. But I would still that was going to make him better in my eyes. He's been almost a non-factor.
But I agree.
Yeah. So with that being said, I just need to get the message clear. I don't know when people are going to grab on, Scotty. Like they won, they scored 40, they ran for 360. The defense got the ball on their own side of the field like 4 times. I really don't know what was so wrong, right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, let's move on to the rest of this Sunday slate, man. I got a bone to pick with one team, Scotty, and I'm going to throw it to you. I have a couple teams, but this first one, man, a guy that was high up in the MVP race to start the season. Now, this game wasn't necessarily on him. The numbers were there. He had 2 late drives that should have and could have won his team the game ultimately. But the Baltimore Ravens, we've been having this conversation specifically in our power rankings of how they're floating around 5 and 6, and we can't quite bump them down, but we can't group them and lump them together with the Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, and Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
What do you say about Lamar Jackson and this team now? They lose 28-27 on a Trevor Lawrence ridiculous throw and catch, ridiculous drive. Trevor Lawrence played out of his mind, especially in the fourth quarter in Jacksonville. But it's not a jab at Lamar Jackson. This defense is fraudulent, man. Week to week, you never know what you're going to get from the run defense to the pass defense for Baltimore. They really have no rushing attack, Scotty. Like that was a thing you could rely on in Baltimore between Lamar, and then they would have a 2 or 3 headed monster, and they'd run a lot of read and zone option. They can't do that right now. They had to bring Deshaun Jackson in, and he actually made a huge play late in the fourth quarter. They lack a lot of talent in my mind.
Yeah.
What's going on in Baltimore?
They look like at best the same team that they've been the last like 2 to 3 years. At best. That's at best, because right now they're not even there. No. Like they don't have whether it's Lamar or it's the talent around him, most likely the talent around him right now, because they're just completely lacking. No Rashad Bateman, which looking back on that, hindsight's always 20/20. But how do you come into a season with Rashad Bateman as wide receiver one? I don't understand.
You traded away Hollywood Brown. Why?
Traded away Hollywood Brown. And everybody says that he was no good for the he seemed to be playing all right for the Cardinals whenever he was healthy. So I'm looking at this Ravens team, man, and what it shows me is that when they get into tight situations at the end of games, they can't win. They can't finish games. They can't have a game-ending drive that goes right. Because whether it's Lamar making the wrong play, we've seen it a couple weeks ago where he throws that bad pass in the end zone, costs him the game at the end of the game. We've seen bad coaching decisions where John Harbaugh's gone for 2 in certain situations or gone for it on 4th when he didn't need to. So you've seen situations like that. And then the latest case is guys dropping passes right in their goddamn hands. Mark Andrews, that's your guy, right? Like that's Lamar's guy. It looks like the same stuff, except worse now. It's on a different level as far as lack of talent on the outside for the Ravens. And, Deshaun Jackson's great. He has a big catch. It's only a matter of time before he, tightens up his hamstring.
7 years old.
Strains his hamstring. I mean, the Ravens are suspect. That's the perfect word for them. They are suspect right now because that defense is flimsy. The offense, you cannot trust
we should have known
anybody.
week 2.
barely can trust Lamar right now. So
We should have known
it's
when they
rough
were
for the
up,
Ravens.
35-17 or whatever it was against Tua in Miami, and they let up that big, ridiculous fourth quarter comeback. And
Try to give them
actually,
benefit of the doubt.
well, happy
And look,
birthday, Jax. I did not know that.
Damn, I wasn't trying to diss him. Happy
Yeah.
birthday, DJ. I got mad. We got mad love for DJ. So don't take that the wrong way, but we've been through our spells with him.
To your point, it's essentially if Deshaun Jackson has to come in to try to help you out or save the day at this point in the season, you're probably not going very far.
Yeah. Yeah, and look at what we said just maybe 2 weeks ago when we were looking at the Bengals and the Ravens schedule.
Yeah.
And we looked at what the Bengals have left. Now the Bengals just took down the Titans. They have to go on the road and they actually play the Chiefs at home this weekend. The Ravens just dropped the game to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So like we can throw the schedules out of the window. They mean literally nothing the rest of the way because the Ravens can just fuck around and lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where we're at with the Ravens right now. And quite frankly, I've kind of wavered over to the Bengals side again because they're playing better football right now. Their quarterback is playing better football.
And that's without wide receiver one. They have not had Jamar Chase. They didn't have Joe Mixon last week either in Tennessee. Yeah. That was a huge win by them. I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't going to talk about that game too much, but it was one of the better games on Sunday in the 1 o'clock slate. And, you know, I look at this Tennessee offense, man, and I know I just say this as an Eagles fan. We're so worried with this run defense and Derrick Henry. And don't get me wrong, there's fear here. There's worry here. Derrick Henry has been kept under 3 yards per carry or around 3 yards per carry for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think he had like 35, 37 rushing yards against Cincinnati this past week at home. That's a problem for them. So we're at this point, man, where when you're trying to figure out who's real and who's not, week 12, week 13, right? Week 14, you should have a pretty good idea. And we just talked about the Ravens. Now bring up the Bengals, the Titans. Like, I don't know, man. I really don't. Like they started out 0-2. Obviously, they go on and go 7-1 over the next 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a bad loss at home to Cincy. Yeah. If you're trying to show if you're real or not, right? If you're trying to be a legit contender in the AFC, it's a really bad loss at home.
That's a great point bringing up the Titans there, because you look at the Titans and they're kind of in the same situation as the Ravens in a sense. Now, mind you, I would take the Titans over the Ravens right now. I legitimately would, just because I think the Titans at the very least have an identity that they can stick to from time to time. But nonetheless, these teams are in similar situations because Titans, same thing. Last two to three seasons, what are you better at now than what you were good at last year when you lost to the Bengals in the divisional round? Like at home. When you sacked Joe Burrow 9 times and lost to him at home, where have you gotten better? There's no A.J. Brown. Treylon Burks has looked all right the last few weeks, right? He's kind of popping out, but it's still Ryan Tannehill. Treylon Burks is not A.J. Brown. He's not on that level.
Robert Woods has been nothing.
Robert Woods has been nothing. Derrick Henry, once again, he's not the Derrick Henry that takes over the league. Yes, he still has that capability to take over a game. I'm not going to dismiss that. But this is a team where it's the same old with the Titans, right? What have you gotten better at? I don't know. Yeah, they have a better defense. Yeah, they're better than
Baltimore at the moment.
I would take them over Baltimore, but they're in similar situations.
I think both of those teams are considered, like, they're so fringe and they're so flimsy in the AFC playoff picture that, like, dude, there's no shot I would pick either of those squads to go into Kansas City or to go into Buffalo or have Buffalo come to you. Like, I just don't view them in a positive light in the moment. They have a couple weeks to get right. Scotty, another team that is trying to win their division, the fact that they have not ran away with this awful division in the NFC is ridiculous. Another bad loss coming out of the bye, Scotty, coming out of the bye week. Tom and Tampa losing overtime to the Cleveland Browns, the Jacoby Brissett's last start in Cleveland, right? Scotty, where do we go from here? If you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, you're coming out of the bye. You had put 2 wins together back to back before the bye. It seems like you're starting to figure things out as a team. Tom's playing a little better since the divorce was finalized. Everything seems to be trending upward for them, right? you score 17 points. You had the ball twice offensively in overtime. You couldn't move it at all across midfield to go and get points. And once again, here we are. Listen, I know Leonard Fournette's out for them. I know they kind of moved on to Rachaad White. Scotty, make it make sense. 43 passes to 20 rushes. And one of them was a QB sneak, so you can really deduct that. One of them was a wide receiver end around to Julio Jones, so you can technically deduct that. It was really 18 carries to running backs. And Rachaad White averaged over 4.5 yards per carry. And this was a one-score game that you were winning up until the final drive. So make it make sense where this is the recipe for them. You have a 45-year-old quarterback. You're having somewhat success. 4.6 yards per carry is success on the ground. You're in a one-score game the entire game. You're winning in the second half. And your pass-to-run disparity is 43-18. And it's been this way since the beginning of the season because you and I have talked about Tampa Bay's offense week in and week out. They are – I like it. They're toast. And hey, man, they'll probably still win their division. Come on, they got to beat out what? Atlanta. Point. They're going to win the division. Don't get me wrong.
Carolina might mess around and win that division.
But like in terms of, oh no, it's Tom in the playoffs. Man, miss me with that right now.
No, man, it's exact. I love the comment there because that's the perfect word for them. They are toast. Because they have lost themselves. They don't run the football, which made them strong, running the ball with Leonard Fournette. Rachaad White is a good back, man. If you want to move on from Leonard Fournette, he's a good back to do it with. He can catch the ball out of the backfield too, so I get it. But you didn't even use him. And then on the other side, this is supposed to be the best rushing defense in the NFL. They have had that mark for what? The last 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons, I guess you could say, because it isn't this season anymore. They get the ball run down their throat. Cleveland averaging what? 5.2 yards. I think it was actually 5.6 yards a carry against the Buccaneers in that game.
Yeah, they did.
Nick Chubb has his way. Who do you come into the Cleveland Browns saying you have to stop? No Deshaun Watson. Like, I get it. Amari Cooper on the outside. Brissett's been getting him the ball. But who is it that you have to stop?
Oh,
you're supposed to have a top 5 rushing defense, at least a top 5 rushing defense in the NFL.
That was the icing on the cake. I don't know if you saw a clip of it because I know you were already down the link by that point, but I believe it was Carlton Davis for Tampa Bay. I don't know if you saw how
no, I didn't.
How the Browns went down and scored in overtime, but it was 3rd down or 4th, whatever it was. The Bucs were trying to get off the field and get Tom the ball back in overtime, and Carlton Davis tries to press Amari Cooper and just slips and falls on the ground and then tries to like sell it as PI, but obviously it wasn't. And Coop went for like a 40+ yard catch, dude. It was crazy.
No, I did not see
that. It was the icing on the cake for them. It really was.
Man, the reason I was silent there is because I was looking at their division and I'm just kind of checking in here.
Dude. Sorry.
The Bucs are 5-6, Atlanta's 5-7, and Carolina's 4-8, New Orleans is 4-8. I want to look at the Bucs, the rest of their schedule. So they got the Saints on Monday Night Football, which
good
luck scoring on them though.
I feel you.
Good luck scoring on them.
They should win that game. Andy Dalton.
I feel that. I do feel that. Like ultimately, if the 49ers are only putting 13, the Bucs they might win that game 9-0 or some shit. After that, they play in San Fran.
Loss.
That's an L. They play at home against the Bengals. They need to win that game.
Loss.
That's a loss. Then they play at Arizona. Should be a win, right?
You never know.
But you never know. Then they host the Panthers, and then they close out the game. They close out the season on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. So obviously those might be your 2 division ceiling games.
Yeah, man.
But how crazy would that be if Tom Brady is playing into week 18? And still having to go out there and play his hardest and get
Scotty,
away.
If I'm being honest, they're 8-9. They're 5-6 right now. To me,
5-6.
They are not beating San Fran. That's not happening. No. I don't see them beating the Bengals at home with Jamar Chase healthy. I don't see that happening. That's already 8 losses. Maybe maybe they beat the Cardinals and the Falcons and they beat the Saints this week, right? And they get to 9-8. They're 9-8 at best. At best, dude.
I'm telling you, the Panthers are playing. They're playing teams tough. The Panthers beat them 21-3 a couple weeks ago, man. So, they put Sam Darnold in there. He gets a W. Who did the Panthers play? Oh, they played the Broncos. That's not saying much, but
they won.
Man, the Bucks, they did win. They did win by 13 points. So, Bucks better be careful, man. That's a sucky ass division, but they are sucking it up themselves. So. They better be careful. They mess around. That would be the most embarrassing miss of the playoffs, that I might have ever seen. I mean,
in that division, no shit. But if the Falcons would have beat Washington this past week, which they had a very good chance,
been closer.
There was a tip drill interception to end the game in the end zone against Marcus Mariota. If they would have won that game, Week 18 could have a lot of implications against Tom. But we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. You bring up Denver real quick, just side note. We talk about Vegas, right? And they actually won this week, but we talk about Josh McDaniel maybe being one of the worst head coaches in the history of the National Football League. And we know kind of why they can't move on or why they won't move on. They're basically tied to him for the next 2 or so years because they can't afford to fire him, continue to pay him, and pay somebody else. That's how cash struck they are right now. What is Denver waiting for? I mean, seriously, you can't move on from Russell Wilson already. No. We know this, right? All you gave up in the trade, you gave him a bag. You cannot year 1, 12 weeks in, give up on the quarterback just yet. What are we doing with Nathaniel Hackett? And what does Nathaniel Hackett even do at this point, Scotty? Because he gave up calling plays. So hold on, he gave up calling plays already. He's not a defensive-minded head coach. He was brought in for his offense. So he has nothing to do with the defense, which is the best part of their team, which is actually kind of championship ready at this point, right?
Right.
What does he do?
He's not a good game manager.
Nothing. He's not. Yeah,
we've seen him mishandle the clock.
Management is not a strong suit of his. He's not obviously not a great leader of men.
We see Melvin Gordon leaving the squad and posting like a video or a meme of himself in the Denver or in the.
So, what do we do? Which
I mean, it's crazy, man.
Which loss does it take? I'm sorry if it's not Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers post Christian McCaffrey trade.
He's losing
23 to 10.
Too,
you scored 10 points. I know. I saw Abe's comment. They have a pretty solid defense. They're all right. They're cool.
It's the Panthers.
10.
Man.
So Russell Wilson. Listen, I know you saw the video of Mike Purcell getting in Russell's face, and they both had their comments after the game of it was nothing and there's no hard feelings.
What did they say? I actually didn't catch it.
Purcell said that the whole team's frustrated with how they've been performing. The defense just gave up points, so he was frustrated with himself and the defense, and all he really said to Russ was like, let's effing go. And that's what Russ, but Russ's comments, he basically repeated there's no animosity like 4 different times in 30 seconds. And when you say that 4 or 5 different times, there's probably some animosity.
Yeah.
And dude, he went right to Russ on the sideline. He didn't in passing coming onto the field say hey man, let's effing go. He sought out Russell Wilson on the sideline and got in his, didn't get in his face, but had some words kind of face to face with him.
And look, there's no way if you're on that defense that you're not frustrated with that offense and Russell Wilson. There's zero chance that you're not frustrated with that offense and Russell Wilson, what he's supposed to be, all his corny antics. If you're losing, Russell Wilson is the worst player that I would ever want to be around. He would be so annoying.
It might be worse than when Nick Sirianni was giving out the watering of the flowers and growing a plant shit last year. And Abe, I brought this up 2 shows ago or something. I did see, dude, if they had, I think Nick Wright tweeted it, if the Broncos scored 18, not over, I believe it was just 18. If they got to 18 in regulation, it was, they would be 8-1 on the year at that point. That is crazy.
Look, Dylan, they haven't scored over 16.
Oh, I know.
In their last 3 out of 4, they scored under 10 and under 3 out of their last 4 games. 9 against the Jets, 10 against the Titans, 16 against the Raiders. So excuse me there. And then 10 against the Panthers.
Remember when they beat the Niners 11-10? We lost Scotty for a second. Scotty, where'd he go? But yeah, Abe, no, I feel you, dude. He has to be like Scotty said, the worst rah-rah, corny saying type of guy when your team's losing, and losing it in large part to him. I brought up the Broncos for one specific reason, and that was just like, what are we doing with Nathaniel Hackett? Like, I know why Josh McDaniel isn't being fired from Vegas. They really can't afford to, from what I understand. Denver, I don't think they're in that same situation. You just traded a buttload for Russell Wilson and then paid him over $250 million. You're not moving on from him 12 weeks in or after the first season, right? So first thing to go, head coach. And not only that, what does said head coach do? He's an offensive-minded guy, so he does nothing on the defensive side of things. He relinquished his play calling duties already, so he does nothing, has no input there. He has no clock management skills. He has no leadership ability. Glad to have you back, brother. I was on another tab looking at the Broncos schedule, and like I didn't hear you respond. So I'm like, what happened? I go back and you're gone.
Yeah, man. It's something. I don't know what just happened with my MacBook, because like I literally went to click on Abe's comment, literally this comment, and the whole thing froze my screen and then like signed me out of my MacBook and started. I don't know what happened, but I'm with you. The Broncos are some ass. Nathaniel Hackett needs fired, man.
I feel you. Kind of my last storyline of this Sunday slate. Mike White, man. Mike White and the New York Jets. Listen, it's a joke. I think we all know and we all understand what Mike White is. I don't think anybody here, you or I, is thinking that, quote unquote, Mike White gives the Jets the best possibility to win, right? He's their best option, but he's better than Zach Wilson. I think I can definitively kind of tell you that. Like, Scotty, it doesn't get much worse than 79 passing yards. It doesn't get much worse than having negative passing yards in a half, than getting 3 points put up on you in a 10-3 loss to a division rival, right? Like, it can't get worse than that. So as long as Mike White doesn't come out and turn the football over week in and week out, he's not throwing 3 interceptions and only throwing for 110 yards, right? No one expects it. Like, it was the Bears defense, but he lit them up. No one's expecting that. I'm not expecting that, at least. But if Mike White can be some sort of I don't want to use the word game manager. It gets a little corny. Like, I know we all look at like Alex Smith is the perfect game manager, right? With Jimmy G type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But you gotta like him as an option more than Zach Wilson. And my point of this conversation, this topic is, does Zach Wilson get his job back this season? I don't see it.
Hell no. I mean, not a chance. Not a chance after that game. Am I going back to Zach Wilson? I literally would go to Joe Flacco before I go back to Zach Wilson. I agree. If Mike White got hurt in the next game, literally Joe Flacco is QB2. And I honestly would have went to Joe Flacco anyways.
Wilson's not even Wilson didn't even dress.
Yeah. Yeah, as he should, because you look at this game with Mike White and it's like, why does Mike White get the ball to Garrett Wilson and
Elijah
Moore?
God,
he's slipping my Elijah Moore. I was about to say EJ Moore, Elijah Moore, because that's my guy. I just haven't heard from him in so long. But Joe Flacco was getting Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson the ball as well at the beginning of the season. But then you have this huge gap in between of Zach Wilson and not able to get his talented receivers the ball. So there's obviously a disconnect there. I don't know if it's him, coming from BYU. Like, I don't know if that's like the disconnect with your wide receivers and your offensive. I have no idea. It seems like he doesn't have the right mental makeup to be in the NFL, to be a
not at all
athlete, quite honestly. You say no after the game where you put up 79 passing yards. You're obviously not made for this league. You're not made for a team led by Robert Saleh. Like, this is a defensive, tough-minded coach, a defensive, tough-minded team. And you need a quarterback that can match that persona at the very least. Zach Wilson is not that. And Mike White, at the very least, he gives them a better chance to win each and every game than Zach Wilson. You said that correctly, and I agree with you wholeheartedly.
But how crazy is that?
Zach Wilson is. It's crazy how bad he is.
And the problem is we see it all the time, specifically with the quarterback position, Scotty. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, like, this is their problem. They drafted him. He's their guy.
Yeah.
They hand selected Zach Wilson.
And that's fair.
So how long is the leash? I get the rest of this year. He will not be back the rest of this year. This team has an opportunity to make the playoffs for the first time in a very long time. Their defense is extremely talented. They have very good. He's not getting his job back this year unless things go incredibly south for the next 3 games. But moving forward, what's the answer to start next year? 2023, right? 2024. What's the solution at quarterback in Zach Wilson? Because you mentioned his mental makeup, right? His mental toughness, and you come out and you answer that question like a boy, like Abe's saying, like we talked about it already. Like, no, do I think I let my defense down? No. Okay, so he's not a very good leader. He's immature. He's young. Not just that, he has shown you literally nothing when healthy in this league that he can accomplish anything. And it's not just the one New England game. It's the New England game before that when he threw 3 or 4 interceptions and they lost the game to New England earlier in the season.
He's a detractor.
Yes, and that's what you cannot have.
Exactly. I think I agree with what D-Rab said there. Probably the same fate as Sam Darnold.
Worse.
There's no way I would go into next season.
Worse.
Yeah, I would have rather have Sam Darnold right now. Literally, I would rather have Sam Darnold. At least he could run a decently competent offense, right? He was like average, right? He was not good, not great. Yeah. He was probably an average, below average quarterback in the NFL. Couldn't stay healthy, that type of stuff. Zach Wilson is just a scrub, man. And there's no way I'm going into next season with him as my starting quarterback because, Dylan, they're too good to just sit around and wait. They're too good. Sauce Gardner's a rookie. Garrett Wilson's a rookie. You get those guys into next year. You get the running back. God, I'm forgetting names tonight. Breece Hall, the stud running back. You get him back next year.
James Robinson.
And you have Michael Carter. You have James Robinson. This team, I'm not going to say they're ready to go and compete for a Super Bowl, but they're ready to make the playoffs.
They're playoff ready.
They're ready for that. And the defense is really good. Listen to this one, Dylan. Tell me what you think. What about Aaron Rodgers? I feel he'll have some options. What about the New York Flying Jets, whatever you want to call them? Maybe Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that's in the fortune. It's New York. It's a big city, right? That kind of fits what Aaron Rodgers does, but I don't know. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers. I'm just spitting at
they'd have
the wheel
to move
here.
Him. Green Bay would have to move him.
They need to make a move for a quarterback, quite honestly. And I don't know if I would go the draft route again because you're obviously not good at it.
You're rolling the dice there. Yeah, man. Honestly, it's probably one of the better fits. I remember in the offseason I talked to you and I mentioned Pittsburgh, right? Because I looked at the defense and Mike Tomlin. I thought, oh, maybe he could fit it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You're right. When you have a strong defense like that, when you have a two-headed, I won't use the quote monster, but when Breece Hall comes back next year and you have Breece Hall and Michael Carter, right? Who knows what you do with James Robinson or anything? When you have Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. So what's Rodgers' main problem right now?
Right.
Non-talented skill position guys. Well, you bring him here. I do think it would be a nice situation.
And look, defensive-minded head coach, so his hands are off of the offense, right? No Robert Saleh involved there.
To transition into Jordan Love. If that's
Aaron Rodgers, maybe he could go up there and run the offense the way he wants to as well. So I don't know, just an idea I'm spinning here. Maybe it's Geno Smith and Seattle goes after Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. We'll see when the offseason. But
even though I would say that the Jets are tiers above. Like I know Seattle continues to find ways to win here, and
I agree with you.
The Jets roster is tiers above Seattle's and
they're going to get better. That's the thing about the Jets. They're going to be better next year.
I know Tyler Lockett would be another year older, but it would be cool to see Rodgers with DK and Tyler Lockett.
DK Metcalf, and then Kenneth Walker, the rookie running back. So
stud.
Yeah, stud rookie running back.
All right, man. Last piece of duty to get to here tonight. The Thursday night football matchup actually seems like it's going to be a pretty good one. You got high playoff implications, seeding implications here tonight, divisional implications between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Who do you like in this one? And also, I want to throw you a Josh Allen based type of question here, because we've talked about him a lot over the last couple of weeks, and the 2 straight losses and his ball management, his ball security issues and turning the football over. They get a close win late in the game against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. On the other side, you have a defensive minded head coach who finds ways, I don't know how, but continues to find ways to take away options and take away your number 1 wide receiver and show you different looks and turn you over. How big of a game tonight? Forget New England. New England's already exceeded expectations. Maybe they make the playoff, maybe not. This game to me is about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. The line sits at 3.5. My gut tells me to smash the 3.5 for Buffalo.
Yeah.
But
that's
Josh
where my gut's
Allen
at.
get in his own way tonight, Scotty?
I know, and that's the thing, Dylan. That's what makes this really tough, because there's 2 ways this game could really go. It can be a real tight, low-scoring match, right, where both of these defenses came to play. Offense is kind of struggling, whatever the case may be. Maybe Josh Allen turns the ball over 2 or 3 times. But then there's another part where this looks like the Patriots and Bills from the playoffs last year, where the Bills blew them out 47-17 in that game. Josh Allen threw 5 touchdowns. 0 interceptions, a complete masterclass, right? But in the regular season last year, there's this crazy game where I know it was super windy, whatever the case may be. They held the Buffalo Bills under like 10 points or something crazy like that. It could go one of those 2 ways. I'm leaning Buffalo, and the reason I'm leaning Buffalo in this one is because at some point, the talent, everything has to kind of turn around, right? We're a few weeks past the elbow injury, so give or take, it could be hurting more maybe because he has been running the football a lot, but it also could have gotten healthier within that time with more rest and more time away from the injury. I look at this as another chance for the Bills to bounce back, but I feel like I keep saying it, right? I keep saying that. I keep saying Josh Allen's going to come out here and look like the MVP candidate, Josh Allen. And the Buffalo Bills are going to come out here and look like the Super Bowl contender, Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. They came out there on Thanksgiving on a national stage in Detroit, scored 28 points and gave up 25 to the Detroit Lions, only won by 3 points.
Almost had a loss.
It was a struggle. Right? So, like, I don't know. It's something about it where adversity builds, toughness it builds, makes you better.
Yeah.
There's something in there that makes me believe that the Buffalo Bills and that 3.5 line is just like disrespectful. But there is that other side of it where you are going against a Hall of Fame head coach, if not the best head coach of all time. And you have to go out there. This is a division game. So that makes it even more, a little sketchy. And that probably is why the line tightens a little bit more there. It's a weird game, but I do just once again have this feeling that Buffalo's going to come out and prove their point. They're going to kind of get past this stretch where they have looked simply mediocre.
They quite frankly need to. And listen, we talk about the Bills and Josh Allen a lot on this show, rightfully so. Yeah. They deserve to be in the conversation week in and week out. But as an Eagles fan, in the conversation we sparked earlier on about why are they viewed in this light, and other teams get excuses, or when other teams do something that the Eagles did, they get it highlighted more so. The Bills and Josh Allen, to me, are the poster child of that problem for me in social media and in the media, right? Like why are they looked at as the class of the NFL? Why are they looked at as a Super Bowl favorite? Why is Josh Allen looked at as the best quarterback in the league? But then the Eagles have these issues. And then the number 15 on the bottom of your screen has doubters still, but 17. Yeah. It honestly, like, I want to like the Bills. I like their fan base. They're very similar to us here in Philly. I get it. Yeah. I'm starting to resent them because of the look or the narrative that's out about them. But they're literally the thing that I hate most.
It's funny that you bring that up, because as soon as I get on the ESPN, I was just pulling up the game, just to kind of take a look at the Bills' last couple games. But as soon as I get on the ESPN app, it's Tim Hasselbeck saying, I still think Josh Allen is awesome. Every great player makes mistakes. You guys don't treat anybody else like that. That's like nobody else gets that said about them. Just Josh Allen. just Josh Allen. He's awesome, but every great player makes mistakes. No, he's made a ton of mistakes the last few weeks.
He leads the league in interceptions.
He is the reason that the Bills are in these tight games. Josh Allen is the detractor in these games. As great as he can be on any
no one's arguing how great he is.
Any given Sunday, he has been a detractor this season more than once.
Yes.
And in big spots against the Dolphins, against the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Against the Jets. He's been bad in these certain spots in big moments. So why does he get the benefit of the doubt versus like a Justin Herbert? Right? Justin Herbert's team, not 8-3. I get it. You can say that. Justin Herbert, he's another guy that just gets ridiculed to hell and back, and I'm a guy that does it. I'm a guy that does it myself. But Josh Allen just coasting, leading the league in interceptions. Matthew Stafford got ridiculed all season last year. He goes out and wins a Super Bowl. Got ridiculed all season last year for leading the league in interceptions. But Josh Allen, he's just trotting along. He's awesome.
That's my problem, man.
That's weird, man. And I'm not saying that Josh Allen isn't awesome. He is awesome. But it's just that it's the same thing we talk about with the Eagles and a 10-1 record, and yet they're under this microscope as if they're the weak link in the NFC.
Right. Well, they barely beat the Colts. They barely beat the Colts. They gave up 30 like this. And look at who the Bills just beat. Right. Go back to week 1, what the Eagles accomplished in Detroit. All right, and how bad of a defensive performance that was.
How bad our defense is because they gave up 35 to the Lions.
They just beat the Lions by 3 in walk-off fashion. Did the Eagles stomp out Minnesota in week 2? They did. Did the Bills? No, the Bills lost to the Vikings, right? That's my problem. And listen, it might come like no one's questioning how great Josh Allen is. Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in this league to me. He might even be number 2. He's not better than number 15 down there under Scotty's screen. He is not even playing better than number 1 under my screen at the moment. He's not playing better than Tua.
I'll ask you a question. Who would you trust more right now, Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen?
Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen is the better player. Josh Allen, without a doubt, is the better player. But I trust Jalen Hurts more, and Jalen Hurts is playing at a better level than Josh Allen is right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, and the Colts did beat the Chiefs in week 3. That is my point. That's why I brought this conversation back. Because
any given Sunday, man.
This pisses me off.
Any given Sunday.
Off. With that being said, you got the Bills winning tonight, right?
I got the Bills winning tonight. I've honestly thought about laying the money line or the spread, actually.
That's what I'm thinking
spread.
about.
I've actually contemplated it myself. I do think even if they don't come out and have a bounce back game per se, score over 30 points, they can still beat the New England Patriots by 4. They still have a good defense. I wouldn't even put the Patriots offense on the level of the Lions, right? So do I think just because the Lions go out and score 25 doesn't mean the Patriots are going to go out there and do that. But all I would say to the Buffalo Bills, this isn't some walkover game, right? Not a chance. Nothing in this division at this point. They need to win out. Now, the Miami Dolphins, they don't have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. They play the 49ers in San Fran this week, which we'll talk about it on Sunday. I might fuck around and pick the Miami Dolphins in San Fran the way San Fran played last weekend. We'll figure it out Sunday. But to think that, if the Bills and the Dolphins played right now, I'm taking the Dolphins.
Me too.
I'm taking the Dolphins. I trust Tua more than Josh Allen. And that's crazy to say right now. I want him to turn it around. I'm with you because it's the media. It's the media. I'm not against the Bills.
I ain't against the
fans and Josh Allen. I'm not against them.
I'm against
it's the media and the way they're perceived and the way they're just given the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
They've won Super Bowls before. It's odd. It's like they're the Chiefs. If the Chiefs were getting treated like this, that's fine. Patrick Mahomes has earned that right?
On you, D-Rab. I'll reverse it. I'll say this is a huge test for San Fran this weekend. Because if we're being honest, you know how I feel about San Fran. All that talent. They have not shown me, Kyle Shanahan has not shown me that they can use it correctly yet. That defense has its ups and downs. If I'm being honest with you, San Fran has beaten, San Fran has beaten who, Scotty? Nobody. They've beaten nobody of significance so far this season. This is a test for them because I've seen Tua and this team beat the Bills and beat the Ravens and beat other talented teams throughout the AFC. I ain't seen San Fran beat nobody yet.
Nope. And look, the Dolphins last 4 weeks since Tua's returned. So they had the Steelers game 5 weeks ago before Tua returned. They scored 16 points in that game. Since that game, they have scored 30 plus ever since. 30 plus in each game, each of the 4 games. Dude. 31 against the Lions, blah, blah, blah. It's the Lions, whatever.
Can I ask you a quick
35
question?
Against the Bears, 39 against the Browns, 30 against the Texans. Not the greatest competition. This offense is explosive regardless. They're undefeated with Tua. Yeah, this is going to be a huge test.
Can I ask you a question? If the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, who are you more afraid of? That man down below your screen or the Dolphins?
I'm more afraid of Mahomes, and I should say the Chiefs because of Andy Reid as well and that coaching experience. Just the pedigree. They have it all going, the system. But you talk about explosiveness. I would love to see Kansas City versus Miami. That first of all, I want to see that first, and then maybe I can make a decision off of that. But yeah, it's closer than what you would imagine.
I'm just listen. I know I'm overlooking because you know how I feel. Patty's the MVP. Patty's the best quarterback in the league, and they were never overtaken by Buffalo yet. But I don't know why I'm like passing them over to get to Josh McDaniel or Mike McDaniel, excuse me. But like just envisioning Jonathan Gannon's philosophy versus Mike McDaniel and the way we've seen him exploit opposing schemes and game plans and Waddle and Hill on the outside.
What would they do with Tyreek Hill and Waddle?
That's and listen,
that's something to worry about.
Reversely, Patty is the biggest problem in the league, so he's something to worry about. But in terms of skill position, wow, would I be nervous? I'll tell you what, I would love to see an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl because of Andy Reid, but also because of that new podcast with Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce. Because I wonder if they would do one that week and the week after.
They have to. They would have to. I know they would be pissed whoever loses, but they would have to do it, man. Even it would be so authentic, and I agree that would be awesome. In Travis Kelce, he's interesting. I wonder what he could do against.
He's funny as shit,
well, man. He's a funny dude.
You know what I love? Before we wrap up, you know what I love about like them too, but Travis as well is like I've seen Travis has been at the link like 2 times now this year for Jason's games.
They support each other,
but also I'm pretty sure he went to Sea Isle with Mailata and Kelce. He was bartending at Ocean Drive in Jersey this past summer, which is like, you know, normally you would think like, oh, like Lane, Mailata, and Kelce went. No, Mailata, Kelce, and Travis Kelce went and bartended and did that whole thing. So that's pretty funny. I love
their relationship. It's very authentic. Oh, their relationship's very authentic. They even go as far as like wearing a Chief. Like I've seen Kelce in a Chiefs jersey, Jason Kelce that is. I've seen Travis Kelce in his brother's Eagles jersey. It's really awesome that they have no barriers like football and teams. That's not even dividing a line between their brotherhood, and I can appreciate that.
Not at all.
But thank you, D-Rab. I appreciate the compliment. Probably not true, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Build us up, brother. We come out stronger nonetheless.
But anyway, man, it felt good to get another hour plus show of Turf Talk under because we've been under that hour radar.
We're back.
That hour limit a little bit as of late with the more shows spread out. So
best bets
tonight. I sent you mine earlier. I think you're riding it solo as well.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis receptions over 3.5. It differs. It's plus money on all sports books. It was 130 on PointsBet. I believe you said it was like 115 or 110 on DraftKings.
It was plus 126 on FanDuel,
okay,
and then plus 120 on DraftKings.
It's plus money. It's over plus 120 on any book about 4 receptions, and he's had 4+ receptions in like 3 or 4 straight games. And I look at this as a Gabe Davis kind of night because of the way that I think Bill and company will try to take away Stephon Diggs. You're going to need someone else to step up. I look for Gabe Davis to just catch 4 balls tonight. That's it.
I'm with you. Best bet of the night. 3.5 receptions for Gabe Davis.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Everybody, don't forget, check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. You can check out the link tree in our bio to take you to every platform we are available. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. This is the best platform to get involved in each and every show here at DSM. For myself, for Scotty, enjoy the rest of your night.
Yes, sir. And one-on-one.